You learned something at 65. That's what most people say like the ship.
Yeah. Keep a little flex.
Wow.
How are you? ¿Qué tal? Good to see you. Otra vez. Bienvenido. Oh, hola. Muy buenas. Bienvenida. Hello. How are you? Good to see you today. Thank you for being here. Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us.
How are you?
Man, really good.
Good to
Really
be
good.
with you. Thank
Just
you.
wanted to make sure that she's going to be the personal story speaking here today. I believe you're passing it on to her after that.
Not Janet?
No, it's going to be Angeles.
Oh, Angeles. Okay.
Yeah, she's
Very
going to
well.
be giving us a little bit of a personal story.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thank you. ¿Cómo estás?
Bien, ¿y tú?
Bien.
Qué gusto.
Gracias.
¿Puedo dar un vitacito a esto?
This is the, you're at the beach?
Gracias.
How are you? Good to see you. How are you?
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you.
Congresista.
Oh, yeah.
How are you? Nice to see you. Thanks for doing this.
Nice to see you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we're excited to be
All
here.
right, we'll make it brief because it's hot. So I pass it on to Angeles,
Yes.
not Janet?
No, you're going to be opening it up.
Yes.
And Angeles from Denver is going to provide her personal story.
Yes.
You provide your remarks. And then we have Rep. Randall. And then Janet could take on her speaking remarks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no worries. It's going to be here for easy access. Thanks.
Do I make my remarks and then introduce her? Angeles?
You can open us up.
No, do I make my remarks to introduce her?
You introduce.
That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, they changed the order.
As.
I need to.
¿Perdón?
Préstame su pluma.
Oh, mira, te voy a cobrar.
Like your green. Yeah.
Don't write it down. Yeah. Have
Okay, we ready to roll?
Okay. Yeah. So, thanks for being here. You're stepping in for Hector, right? Yeah, I forgot.
Okay, are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Muy buenas tardes a todos los miembros de la prensa. I am Congressman Jesus Chuy Garcia from Illinois' 4th District, and today we are assembled here with members and representatives of Latino community organizations from throughout the country, especially those that have a presence on the Hill. We are united in our opposition to the reconciliation bill because it provides up to $72 billion for mass deportation and all of the atrocities that our communities have experienced over the last year and a half in communities all over America. To share a personal story of why we're assembled here today, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Angeles Ortega from Denver, Colorado, who will share her personal story. Angeles, please.
Gracias. Thank you so much. Good morning. Good afternoon. I am an American. I have been an American for over 30 years. And in order to apply to become an American citizen, after much paperwork, I had to complete a U.S. citizenship test, which I know many Americans, U.S.-born Americans, would never pass. For me, my American citizenship is a responsibility and a privilege. I pledged allegiance to this country, and in return, I am grateful before the constitutional rights. I never thought that I would ever have to carry my passport every day. As an American citizen, I ask for all Americans to be outraged that Congress is considering a multi-year payment to the funding to the ICE and CBP, which is the Border Patrol. $72 billion payer dollars. This money should be used to make the American people's life better. So this is not just my story. This is the story of many individuals across our country. In Colorado, Latinos make up 21% of our workforce and contribute more than $40 billion to our state economy every year. And families are telling us that they're scared to go to work, scared to take their kids to school, scared to show up to their own lives. The administration mass deportation campaigns is not just a humanitarian crisis, it is an economic one. Economists warn that it would cost our country trillions of dollars over the next decade, slower growth and higher prices in worsening labor shortages. And today, Congress is being asked to write a blank check to make it even worse. Tens of billions of dollars in unchecked enforcement funding with no accountability and no guardrails. Again, taxpayer dollars should be used to make the lives of Americans better. My message today is simple. Keep our communities safe, no blank checks to ICE, and no zip ties to children. Thanks, and to everyone watching, if you believe in the values and policies we are talking about today, this November is your moment. Go register to vote. Make sure your friends and your family are registered. Get informed, and when the election comes times, make sure your voice is heard. I'm honored to be joined by an extraordinary leaders who will speak at this moment's demands. Thank you.
Thank you, Angeles. And again, representing the 4th District of Illinois, and I'm a proud member of the Hispanic and Progressive Caucus, I stand before you today, and I'm honored to be in the company of outstanding leaders in our country, including Representatives Emily Randolph from the state of Washington and Juan Vargas from California. In addition to that, we have great partners in Unidos US, LULAC, and Mi Familia Vota y en Acción. Thank you, Janet, Juan, and Angelica, and your organizations for your leadership at this moment. I also see Dr. Ruiz here, another representative from Raul Ruiz from California. For over a year and a half, the Trump administration has engaged in a brutal and lawless crackdown on our communities in the name of immigration enforcement. The thugs at DHS have led a campaign of terror around the country, racially profiling our neighbors, ripping parents from their children, kidnapping people off the street, militarizing our neighborhoods, throwing people into horrific detention conditions and deporting them to third countries and even killing them. The Chicagoland region and my district in particular have been the epicenters of the administration's deportation agenda. During the Midway Blitz operation last year, they murdered Silverio Villegas Gonzalez and almost murdered Marimar Martinez. They tear gassed children. They dumped people into appalling conditions at the Broadview Facility Detention Center and more. And what makes this even more and worse is that the violence is funded by our taxpayer dollars. Last summer, Republicans jammed through a party line funding bill that gave ICE and CBP $170 billion to keep terrorizing us. In response to this existential threat to our rights and our communities, Democrats in Congress have fought back with the Congressional Hispanic Caucus and Progressive Caucuses in partnership with organizations like those that are here, and have held the line and made our position clear. No new funding for immigration enforcement without major reforms. No more business as usual with mass death squads in our neighborhoods. We stop Republicans from funding more DHS terror, but they are now back with a Reconciliation 2.0 to give ICE and CBP another $70 billion and fund them through the end of the Trump administration. In other words, almost 3 more years without any reforms. This is unacceptable. As Republicans dump tens of billions of dollars into DHS, working families are still struggling to make ends meet. Essential things like health care and nutrition and education and child care remain unfunded. And working people are struggling to afford rent, groceries, and medications. Let's be clear. The Department of Homeland Security is a rogue, lawless agency that is enforcing Trump and Miller's authoritarian agenda. This bill does nothing to lower the cost of living and make our country a better place for everyone. Republicans want more money for mass deportations and inhumane detentions and have zero plan to lower costs for working families. And that's why we're here standing today in this heat, to bring our own heat and to say no more money for ICE and CBP. Thank you. Ahora en español. Estamos reunidos esta tarde aquí en el calor para señalar que esta administración solamente quiere más fondos para aumentar la represión brutal y al margen de la ley en contra de nuestras comunidades, en el nombre de la aplicación de las leyes de inmigración. Los matones de DHS han encabezado una campaña de terror, sometiendo a nuestros vecinos a perfiles raciales, arrancando a los padres de sus hijos, secuestrando a personas de la plena calle y militarizando a nuestros barrios, arrojando a la gente a condiciones de detención espantosas y deportando a personas a terceros países, inclusive asesinándolos, como lo hicieron en la región de Chicago cuando mataron a Silverio Villegas de González y casi asesinaron a Marimar Martínez, lanzaron gases lacrimógenos contra niños, abandonaron a personas en condiciones deplorables y en el centro de detención de Broadview y muchos más. Pero lo que es peor es que esta violencia se paga con nuestras contribuciones, con nuestros impuestos. Ahora los republicanos quieren darle otros 70,000 millones, o en inglés billones de dólares a estas agencias. Ahora, mientras los republicanos intentan hacer esto, los servicios esenciales como la atención médica, la nutrición, la educación y el cuidado infantil continúan insuficientemente financiados y las familias trabajadoras apenas pueden pagar la renta, alimentos y los medicamentos. Por eso estamos aquí hoy bajo este calor para gritar ni un centavo más para ICE y CBP. Muchas gracias. And now I'd like to introduce Janet Murguia from Unidos US.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me begin by thanking the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, including Chair Espaillat, and of course, these incredible champions represented by the caucus today, including Chuy Garcia, Congressman Reese, and Congressman Vargas, who have been stalwart in their championing of our Latino communities, of our immigrant communities, and pushing back against these incredibly cruel ICE actions. We are here because Congressional Republicans are advancing a partisan reconciliation bill that would funnel over $70 billion to DHS. That's $70 billion to DHS in unchecked immigration enforcement funding without any accountability or guardrails. And I'm also pleased to be here joined in unity with LULAC and Mi Familia en Acción. All of us with Unidos US as President and CEO are focused on joining forces and making it very clear that a blank check for ICE and CBP is unacceptable. We need to make sure that we are not doubling down on the same failed and unlawful mass deportation that has created chaos and brought terror to communities across the country. We are urging every senator and representative to vote no. Instead of addressing the economic consequences working families are facing because of the Trump administration's disastrous management of the economy, congressional Republicans are trying to funnel tens of billions of dollars to ICE and CBP. All of this while gas prices are up more than 50% since the end of February. Inflation has skyrocketed and is now outpacing wage growth, and families can't afford groceries or health care. Congressional Republicans are prioritizing a blank check for the same agency that has targeted Latinos and immigrants across the country, harmed local economies, and left people afraid to leave their homes. And just this week, the Brookings Institution published an analysis showing that more than 145,000 U.S. citizen children have likely experienced a parent being sent to immigration detention. And we know already that the vast majority, up to 80% of folks who have been detained, have no criminal or felony records. This 140,000 U.S. citizen children being separated from their parent, this is cruel and unconscionable and unacceptable. And it's why we can't approve one more cent for ICE or DHS. Any new DHS funding must come with enforceable guardrails. We need to make sure that there are clear identification of agents, body cameras with public access, protections for sensitive locations like schools, churches, and hospitals, and an end to racial profiling. And if Congress approves another mass deportation blank check without key reforms, our communities will demand accountability and demand leaders who put their safety and well-being first. Unidos US will collaborate and continue to ensure that our voices of our community are heard. And I want to, again, thank everyone who has been part of this incredible effort. We have members of Congress, again, who have dedicated their role here to defending our community. I'd like to ask Congressman Raul Reese to please come forward and say a few words. We're here together in unity to push back on these unconscionable and cruel actions and to reject not one more penny, to reject any more funding without guardrails. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much to Unidos US, LULAC, Mi Familia en Acción, to all the members of Congress, to Chuy Garcia for leading this press conference and a fight to protect the human dignity of everybody in our country. I'll get to the point. This last weekend, I spoke with faith-based leaders in the Coachella Valley because there has been a surge in operations, non-discriminate immigration raids in my district. And the stories that I heard reflect the psychological trauma that families are going through. There is an intense amount of anxiety, of stress. It is immobilizing and it is isolating. Seniors are not leaving their homes. They're not going to church. Kids are not going to school. Workers are not going to work. And the sick aren't going to see their physician, because the biggest fear they have is that the family will be separated. And indeed, there has been family separations. We have seen the brutality of excessive use of force, of violence against non-criminal immigrants. We have seen that brutality and violence against U.S. citizens. And there are reports that young men are carrying their passports with them at all times because they're being pulled over by ICE agents demanding in a very aggressive way for them to prove that they are U.S. citizens. And so they're afraid, and they're carrying their U.S. passports with them wherever they go. We have seen 47 deaths in detention centers since 2025. If we see, and they're acting with impunity, with the brutality and violence in open public, imagine what they're doing behind closed doors in these detention centers. 47 deaths since 2025. That's one person dying every 6 days. I have visited detention centers, and I have seen the inhumane conditions, prison-like conditions for non-criminal immigrants, where they keep the temperatures at freezing cold. They're only allowed to sleep maybe 5 hours a night. Bedtime at, lights off at 11 p.m., lights on at 4 a.m. They're only given a permission to go outside and get the sunlight once a day for maybe an hour, 2 hours if they're lucky. And so they're not receiving the food that is necessary to maintain their nutritional requirements. And they're being coerced into signing papers. If they don't, they're put into solitary confinement. There's a lot of aggression and disrespect and inhumane treatment that's happening. That's why I introduced the Humanitarian Standards for Individuals in ICE and CBP Custody Act to protect human life and protect human dignity in order to ensure that there are emergency care protocols and systems that are adequate. I'm an emergency physician. I know what is adequate in these situations, and currently too many deaths are occurring because their emergency care is not adequate. To have nutrition, to have enough time to sleep, enough times outdoors. But the bottom line is that our non-criminal immigrants should not be held in prison-like facilities. They should not be separated from their families. We're talking about psychological trauma that will last generations, and the cruelty and the violence is the point. It is the same point as when the Trump in his first administration separated children from the arms of their mothers, and in order to instill fear, pain, suffering, so that it's a matter of deterrence. The cruelty and aggression and psychological trauma for them is the point in order for people to self-deport out of our country. That is horrible. That is horrible. And that's why I stand with the organizations that are here. I stand with my colleagues in order to raise our voice for those who are voiceless, in order to protect that human dignity that we all cherish and we're called on by our faiths to love and to protect. And with that, I want to yield.
Thank you, Congressman. I appreciate you. We're fortunate to be joined today by Congresswoman Emily Randall from the great state of Washington. Emily, thank you. Congresswoman.
Thank you. Thank you to the Congressional Hispanic Caucus and Unidos US, League of United Latin American Citizens, Mi Familia en Acción for showing up in full force today. Today, Senate Republicans will attempt to move forward a $72 billion reconciliation bill for ICE and Border Patrol with zero guardrails or accountability measures. This comes after millions of Americans protested and called, demanding that ICE funding be removed from the DHS funding bill passed earlier this year. Senate and House Democrats were successfully able to remove that funding from the annual funding bills because of the force and pressure from Latinos and Americans across the country. And now Republicans are trying to pass this on a partisan basis. And last year, thanks to Republicans' H.R. 1, otherwise known as a big ugly bill, ICE became the highest funded U.S. law enforcement agency with an $85 billion slush fund at its disposal. Now they want more. They want to take another $72 billion of your taxpayer dollars to fund Trump and Stephen Miller's horrific immigration agenda for the next 3 years without a single reform. 8 visits to ICE detention centers in my district has shown me that we are seeing green card holders detained, held with no criminal record, instead of being conditionally released. We're seeing detainees denied medical care and having their rights taken away. Is this administration going to spend your money on improving conditions at these facilities? Hell no. They want to build more detention centers across our country and further terrorize Black and brown people. In Florida, I spoke with Uber and Lyft drivers operating with state-approved work permits, rounded up based on the color of their skin, and held because of a horrible state law in jail, in detention, longer than they should be, longer than the 72-hour detainers require. $72 billion more for ICE and Border Patrol, while they've dragged us into an affordability crisis. Thanks to Trump's war in Iran, costs are going up everywhere. For families in every community across our country, housing, groceries, gas, and everyday essentials are becoming unaffordable for millions of Americans. Folks in my district are paying almost $6 a gallon for gas. Trump said, however, that he is not even a little bit concerned about Americans' finances when making decisions about foreign policy. Our president is not even a little bit concerned about the household budgets of Americans who are struggling. But it doesn't have to be like this. Every dollar spent on ICE and unnecessary wars is a dollar we can't spend on childcare, a dollar we can't spend on housing, a dollar we can't spend on healthcare. When Republicans force this bill through, remember the choice they made to prioritize terror over your ability to afford your life. Remember the choice Republicans made to support Donald Trump's corrupt, vindictive, and self-aggrandizing agenda over the needs of everyday Americans. The Congressional Hispanic Caucus will remember, and we'll keep fighting alongside you for a better future for all of us. Gracias.
Thank you, Congresswoman. I'd like to welcome Congressman Vargas from the great state of California. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you. I think that it's all been said. The only thing I would add is this. You hear about this renewal of the Christian churches and the renewal here. Well, where are they? This is what they should be fighting for. When I was a stranger, you welcomed me in Matthew 25. Where are the churches? The Catholic Church finally is standing up a little bit. But what about all the other Christian churches? ¿Dónde están las iglesias, verdad? Dicen que ahora hay una renovación de iglesias, ¿verdad? Del Espíritu. Bueno, ¿dónde están? Cuando un extranjero está entre medio de ustedes deben de recibirlo. Eso es lo que dice la Biblia. So I call out to the churches. Be authentic. Be authentic. Don't hide. Come out and do something because you know this is sinful. You know this is wrong. Do something. It's about time.
Thank you, Congressman. As we mentioned at the top, we're proud to join across other national Latino-led organizations championing our communities across the country. I'm Janet Bergia, President and CEO of Unidos US, the largest Latino civil rights and advocacy organization, but we're pleased to be joined today by the incredible organizations represented. We have Juan Pro Año, who's the president of LULAC, our oldest civil rights organization in the country for Latinos, and you'll be hearing shortly also from Mi Familia en Acción. Juan, please join us.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Janet, and thank you to the CHC and the distinguished members that are standing side by side with us today. My name is Juan Pro Año, and I'm the CEO of the League of United Latin American Citizens, the country's oldest Latino civil rights organization. What Janet and the members talked about today are the political stakes. Now let's talk briefly about the constitutional provisions that DHS and ICE have violated with this funding. The First Amendment, through retaliation against peaceful protesters, the use of tear gas, pepper spray, flashbangs, and arrest of journalists covering federal operations. The Fourth Amendment, through warrantless arrests, racial profiling stops, and unreasonable seizures. The Fifth Amendment, through the detention of U.S. citizens, the denial of due process, and the targeting of legal residents and asylum seekers with valid pending status. The 10th Amendment, through the federal commandeering of state and local police resources and the disruptions of local government. The Equal Protection Guarantee, through the targeting of black and brown, Somali and Latino communities based on appearance and language, and the Administrative Procedures Act through their arbitrary and capricious action with no rulemaking, no public notice, and no oversight. The minimum standards that Janet outlined are not radical. These are directives every federal law enforcement agency operates under. What we're asking for is clear agent identification, body cameras with public access, protection for sensitive locations, judicial warrant requirements for home entry, and an end to racial profiling. Now let's talk about some of the consequences, not here on the steps of the Capitol, but in our communities. LULAC councils are reporting incredible increase in call volume. A mother in Texas told one of our council presidents last week that she packed an emergency bag for her 8-year-old daughter, not for a storm, but for the possibility that her mom may be deported while at work. Jose Hermosillo, a 19-year-old U.S. citizen wrongfully incarcerated by immigration authorities in Arizona, who claimed he was an undocumented citizen. He was undocumented. He was held for 10 days at the Florence Correctional Center because of how he looked and how he spoke. Geraldo Campos, Iber Dominguez, Victor Diaz, 3 men, 3 families, 3 funerals in 1 month in facilities funded by dollars that Congress has appropriated, and they want to appropriate even more. And there are many more. Denny Gonzalez, Damian Betancourt, Alejandro Clemente, Jose Ramos Solano, Royer Perez Jimenez, just to name a few. LULAC is calling on every member in the United States Senate and House of Representatives to do 4 things. 1, vote no on the reconciliation bill. No additional dollars for ICE or CBP without statutory guardrails written into the bill text, enforceable in court. 2, rescind the unobligated slush funds from the One Big Beautiful Disastrous bill, which DHS has given billions of dollars with no statutory restrictions. Congress wrote that check. Congress can claw it back. 3, pass a standalone legislation, not reconciliation, restoring judicial warrant requirements, mandating body cameras and public release, ending the masking of federal agents, and codifying sensitive location protections. 4, the use of statutory oversight authority, which they already have. Subpoena the DHS and the Inspector General materials. Subpoena the use of force records. Compel testimony from the agents involved in the Good and Pretty killings, and investigate the 96 court order violations in Minnesota. Our councils are organized. Our members are watching. We're keeping a record of who voted for agents without identification, who voted to fund raids on schools and churches, and who chose a blank check over the child's constitutional rights. This record will matter. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Angelica from Mi Familia en Acción.
Angelica.
Gracias. Buenas tardes. My name is Angelica Razo. I'm our National Director of Campaigns and Programs with Mi Familia en Acción and Mi Familia Vota. I want to thank the Congressional Hispanic Caucus for their support on voting no on the reconciliation bill, and Unidos US and LULAC, who have been just extraordinary partners to bringing not just our leaders together, but constituents from across the country to make sure that they're advocating directly with their Congress members and saying that we need them to vote no on the reconciliation bill. Mi Familia en Acción is working to build local Latino community power across 8 states. And every single day and every single week, our organizers and our team members on the ground are doing grueling work. They're sitting down with directly impacted community members and families and really walking them through the worst case scenario. These are families that are at risk for detainment and deportation. And now they have to figure out what would it look like to make sure that their families are protected should they be detained or deported. I know that the sun is shining right now and it's reminding us that summer is here. And for children, it's usually the most joyous time of the year. They get to be out of school, they get to be playing, but that's not a shared reality for a lot of our children that are children of immigrant parents. For example, in Texas today, we are accompanying an 11-year-old who has to say goodbye to her father because he is getting deported. And now she will have to go back to a house that is empty and uncertain what her future holds. And as we stand here saying that we want to uphold American values, that means keeping families together. That means that children deserve to know that they are being protected, that they are growing up in a country that values them, that values their identities, and values the hard work of their families. And as Latino and immigrant communities, we know that we're the engine of the American economy, and that when our families are separated, detained, and deported, we all hurt. We are seeing and feeling every single day the rising cost of gas, of groceries, of medical bills. And yet, our leaders are saying that they would rather invest more in ICE and unchecked power and unauthorized checks, and not just for 1 more year, but potentially up to 3 more years with no more reform. And so I echo what my community partners have said: ni un centavo más, ni una gente más, ni una familia más. Not 1 more cent, not 1 more agent, and not 1 more family separated. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, sure. So, you've heard this unifying message. Our communities have come together, these leaders have come together, and we are aligned with our Congressional Caucus champions in the Hispanic Caucus to reject any further funding for ICE and CBP without guardrails. Not 1 cent more, ningún centavo más, without these guardrails. So we're going to open it up for questions if there are any. And if not, I know we'll be available to do separate interviews individually. Are there any questions? I know it's really hot out there. Muchísimas gracias. We'll be available to answer and do interviews separately right immediately after. Thank you all very much. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you. Can we do a quick picture of the 3 of us? Where's my side? You guys get your side, or maybe do the unifying.